Alright, so let's look at one example from this lesson about estimating our roots here. So we are looking at square root of 50. Now this is not a perfect square, and that's why we want to estimate it and know how to estimate between two integers. What two whole numbers will square root of 50 be between? So what you want to think about first is figure out what two perfect squares is 50 between. Remember, our perfect squares are 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and then so on. You can keep going. So it might be helpful to kind of have a list of the perfect squares near you, at least the ones that will encompass whatever we're talking about. So in this case, we're talking about the square root of 50. Well, the two numbers that 50 is between would be right here, 49 and 64. So let's think about what are the square roots of each of these. That's really what we're looking at, because square root of 50 falls right between square root of 49, so it's bigger than that, but it's less than square root of 64. Well, what is the square root of 49? That should be positive 7. So that means that the square root of 50 is larger than 7, but smaller than what number? Square root of 64 is 8. So that means that square root of 50 is larger than 7, but less than 8. So somewhere in between there. But that helps us see exactly, that helps us see where we can kind of estimate these numbers. Now, if you also think about the number line, let's say since our two whole numbers are 7 and 8, let's say we have 7 and 8 on our number line. Here's 7.5 right in here. That means that the square root of 49 would be here. The square root of 64 would be way up here at 8. And the square root of 50 then, if we're trying to put that on the number line, well, 50 is right after 49. So the square root of 50 is going to land somewhere right here. So if I were to estimate where this would fall, I would say it's right here at right after 7. Now, we could even go further. This would be 7.25 or 7.25. So I know it's between 7 and 7.25. So you could even maybe guesstimate that it would be about 7.1, maybe 7.05, something pretty small, pretty close to that. That at least gets us close to our answer there. So that's what we're looking at. And when we're trying to figure out what two integers they're between, the answer would be between 7 and 8, positive 7 and positive 8. And that's all we're doing for that. So really think about what's your list of perfect squares, what two perfect squares is my square root between, and what integers do those represent. Those are going to be the two integers that my square root is going to be between as well. And using the number line helps you kind of estimate even further and closer to the actual answer. So hopefully that gave you another example to walk through for this lesson that we were talking about estimating roots.